Hey, what's going on, guys? This is the Edge DFS. We are doing a first look for Showdown Super Bowl, the biggest game of the year. For us, we've been doing a lot of Showdown videos, and this would be the biggest of them all. Ellie Hernandez, what's going on, man? How are you?
Doing pretty good, bro. We're getting snowed in here. We're expecting like a good 7 to 10 inches over the next couple of days.
That's what she said. Dang, that's for real? That's crazy.
Yeah, man, it's gonna be pretty interesting. It's cold as fuck, though.
What's your heating bills like? Is it like your AC bills like were in Arizona?
No, dude. I mean, so we have gas. It's like what, like 55, $60 a month.
Really? That's not too bad.
Yeah. I mean, dude, we're in the middle of fucking Indiana. Like, nothing's really that expensive.
Yeah, that's true. So I was in Palm Desert last week working. I guess it was this week. And one morning it was like 32 degrees. I came out and my windshield was frozen over, my door wouldn't open, and my windows wouldn't open. And I'm like, fuck, man, I never want to live in this. It took me like 30 minutes to drive away. I'm like, I don't want to do this ever again.
Well, and being from Arizona, we don't know what the fuck to do with that weather.
Yeah, exactly. And here in LA, it's raining quite a bit. It's in the 60s, things like that. So not bad. Yeah, we're talking about weather for 5 minutes. That's how we roll on this show. All right, man. So we're recording this on Saturday night. This should be premiering Sunday morning / afternoon. Right before we started recording, we got the news, the Jared Goff for Matt Stafford news. What in the hell? I did not expect that at all. Did anybody expect Goff to get shipped off to fucking Guantanamo Bay? Basically, I mean, that guy's career is over, right? I mean, and Stafford, can the Rams make a Super Bowl run next year with Bobby Trees? You got Cooper Kupp. You got a good team there for the Rams with a great defense.
I love the trade. I wasn't expecting that at all. I was kind of expecting Matt Stafford to end up in San Francisco, to be honest. I thought that was probably going to be one of his more likely destinations, but
yeah,
kudos to Sean McVay. That's a big pickup. Well, now I guess I'm kind of interested in what San Francisco is going to try to do. You think maybe they'll make an aggressive run at Deshaun Watson? What a fucked up world would that be? We find the Cardinals finally get a franchise quarterback, and then all of a sudden you get Matt Stafford, Deshaun Watson, and Russell Wilson, and just be like,
no.
Whatever, dude, whatever.
Try to move back to the NFC East like we were for a while.
Bro, I think I think it's a good trade for the Rams. Their defense is spectacular, and I think Matt Stafford's hungry, dude. He's never been in a situation where he can actually go win, and I think he's got the pieces around him to do that now. They can figure out who their running back's going to be. If Cam Akers is the guy, they're an interesting team next year.
You know, if Mr. Kneecaps can at least keep Detroit decent for the next few years, those first round picks, I mean, they're in a rebuild, but they have, I mean, as long as they can keep, is Galladay's a free agent, right? So
I'm pretty sure
he's gone. Marvin Jones probably gone. Or is he under? I don't know. Anyways, the point is they got a couple first round picks, and with Jared Goff as their guy, it's not a bad way to rebuild. Although I'm not really excited about.
Jared Goff's not taking out any kneecaps. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think he fits your tough persona, and that's not a. Yeah, that's not a knock on him. It's the DeAndre Ayton effect, right? It's like, they're just more finesse type guys. They're not strong in those kinds of situations. I just don't think he matches the game style. So we'll see. We'll see how that works out.
All right, guys. So this is obviously we're about a week out from the Super Bowl. We just wanted to do like a nice first look. I haven't even looked at salary yet. This is literally a first look for both of us. We're just kind of reacting on the fly to the salary. There's not even, I know on Roto Grinders they have projections up, not that it really matters. Fantasy Cruncher and Osmo don't have any projections up at the moment, which is nice because we get to just judge these players by their salaries only and kind of talk about what we think can happen. This should be a relatively shorter show. I know we usually go over an hour on these breakdowns, but I don't anticipate that happening. So stick with us to the end here. Obviously, we're going to have possibly multiple more shows throughout next week, and I'm sure we'll go live on Sunday morning before this game happens to talk about any injuries, because we do have some injuries to talk about. So right off the bat, actually, Ellie, would you pull up the Vegas lines for this on your end? I think it's like -3 the last time I checked, in favor of the Chiefs. It's a pretty close, but I kind of want to get an idea where Vegas is leaning. I think it's, last time I checked, the Buccaneers were like +175 underdogs at home. That's kind of interesting. It's interesting that's the first time this has ever happened. We got a home team. Not a lot of fans there, but there's a home team playing in the Super Bowl. So when it comes to injuries, we got to talk about Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown, his knee still fucked up. It's possible he could be out. It doesn't look like he's practiced this week. So
Chiefs -3.5.
Chiefs -3.5 at this point. Okay, so it moved a little bit. And I'm sure, I don't know. Do you anticipate it moving throughout next week at all? I mean, maybe closer to the Bucks.
I think it might come down a little bit. I don't think it's going to go too much higher up. So yeah, to answer your question, yes, to the Bucks.
Yeah. So Antonio Brown, if he is out, I mean, that would suck. Dude has like a mental breakdown, destroys his life and his career, keeps his mouth shut, comes back. People are starting to root for him, and he can't play in the Super Bowl. That would suck. But also maybe it's, payback for his actions. At the same time, I want to see the guy play, and I want to see him win a Super Bowl, to be honest. So if he is out, though, obviously Evans and Godwin will be elite plays. And then you got Tyler Johnson and Scotty Miller, and then some of the tight ends who probably would get increase in targets. If Antonio Brown does not suit up, how are you reacting to that? And do we have to go heavy on Scotty Miller and Tyler Johnson?
I think you can. I think you can go either direction with that. Scotty Miller is going to get more playing time, regardless. But Tyler Johnson, it seems like Tom Brady kind of relies on him in some of those clutch situations. So I can definitely see him getting some random action in the game and being a decent bright spot at probably pretty cheap. I'm sure he's cheap as hell. We'll see in a minute.
Yeah, we'll see. Maybe they increased his price quite a bit. Scotty Miller, maybe Tyler Johnson's the guy to target this week. Scotty had that big play at halftime, which basically ruined the Packers. Another interesting thing to look at here is Sammy Watkins. Now, he's questionable with a calf injury. He's been out for a few weeks, I think. Maybe he missed 2 weeks. He missed 1 or 2 playoff games so far. Demarcus Robinson and Mecole Hardman have been the guys that we would, have gotten a big boost. Mecole Hardman had a great game. Was it last week or was it the week before? I'm getting my games mixed up. Last week. Yep. So these guys have been doing well. I don't think Demarcus Robinson has been stepping up. Do you have the previous games box scores? Fantasy Cruncher does not show playoff game box scores, which it's really annoying me. If you have those, maybe we'll pull them up and I can in Lineup HQ, you can check out the last 2 weeks for some of these guys. But when it comes to Sammy Watkins, if he plays, I mean, he had a good Super Bowl last year. He had a good playoff run last year. He's had a decent year this year when he's been healthy. Is it worth he's at 6,300. Is it worth taking a shot on some Sammy Watkins if he plays?
Yeah, I absolutely think so. I want whatever piece of this passing game that I can get for both sides of the ball. I think it just has the makings to be an absolute shootout.
Yeah.
So I have no problem grabbing any piece, and Sammy Watkins, especially if he's healthy, I think that gives a pretty significant downgrade to Hardman and to Demarcus Robinson. I think it kind of removes Robinson from the player pool entirely. But then again, I don't know. Like Andy Reid could get creative here. This is a good opportunity for his team to kind of establish a dynasty. So, any one of these guys could catch a random touchdown and streak up the field. So
totally, yeah. We saw Mecole Hardman, drop that ball in the first quarter. leading to a touchdown, and then comes back and has his own big game. So it was nice to see him sort of step up and overcome that bad luck of a play, and what could have been disastrous. Le'Veon Bell is questionable with the knee injury. Look, I hope he doesn't play. I don't mean to sound insensitive to a guy who would love to play in a Super Bowl at this point in his career, but come on. It's basically worthless if he is active. You got a three-headed monster that I don't want to really touch. If anything, I want to touch Darrell Williams, and yeah, that sounded pretty weird, but Darrell Williams is the guy. And 2 weeks ago, you could just sense it, and I thank God I went heavy on Williams over Lev. It won me some decent money, but in this case, having Williams and then CEH and Lev Bell sort of splitting that, I don't know, dynamic pass catching role. I don't even know what the roles of these guys anymore are. What do we do if Bell's active? And if he is active, don't you just want to uncheck him?
No, I have no interest in doing that. He's $800.
Is he really?
Yeah.
I see him as $1,200.
At captain, maybe.
Oh, interesting. Well, if that's the case, I mean, can he? Yeah, he is $800. That's weird. I mean, can he get fucking 3 carries? Like, will he touch the ball? You know?
Yeah, I definitely think there's an opportunity for him to. I really think Andy Reid's going to kind of pull out the stops here, and this is Le'Veon Bell's first playoff opportunity. I don't think he's going to. I'm sorry. This is his first opportunity at a Super Bowl, right? So I think he's going to want to get involved out there. I think I'm not going to go out there and put him in 100% of my lineups, but I think having 2, 3, 4 with him isn't a terrible idea.
Okay. All right. So let's talk a little bit about like just the overall game in general. If we're just general sports fans talking about this game. Last night we did our NBA stream, and afterwards we kind of chatted a little bit after we got off live. And it's kind of interesting thinking about this matchup. First of all, amazing matchup. You got the best ever quarterback potentially handing the torch to the next best ever. How do you see this game going down? Can the Buccaneers defense threaten this offense enough? Can the extreme amount of blitzing that this Buccaneers defense does kind of fuck with the Tampa Bay, or I'm sorry, with the Chiefs offense here? What do you think how do you think this game goes down?
I think it's going to be very important for the Tampa Bay defense to get that pressure that you're talking about. I think they're going to try and see if Pat Mahomes is kind of fully recovered from that little injury that he had with his toe a couple weeks ago.
Turf toe, yeah.
And Todd Bowles likes to blitz, so I definitely think that we're going to see a lot of that. Now, if they're not getting to the quarterback, though, they're not going to have much time to try and cover on the back end with guys like Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce out there. So I think Tampa's best way to win this is by establishing the run game on the other side of the ball. We've been talking about this all year long. How you beat the Chiefs, or how you're going to have to beat the Chiefs, is not by playing their game. You're not going to be able to score quicker or more frequently than Patrick Mahomes and his team, or his offense is. So that's where I think there's going to. I really expect Bruce Arians to get Rojo and Leonard Fournette involved often and early. Kansas City's run defense isn't the greatest, so I really think that that's going to be their best opportunity to win it. But overall, man, I'm just really excited for this game. Think about it. We could have had, it would have been cool, but we could have had Aaron Rodgers and Josh Allen. But instead, we got Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes.
That's better in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, look, dude, it's exactly what you said. It's the greatest of all time playing what should be the next greatest of all time, right? I mean, Pat Mahomes he's godlike. He plays a different level of football. So I really am excited for this game.
Now, I know there's going to be a lot of talk, and we've talked about this before with the Chiefs and showdowns with Andy Reid going into a bye week. His record is pretty amazing. But the other team has a bye week too. So I don't think you can really look into that too much. I heard that on the radio. Some national radio show was talking about that. They didn't mention that the other team has a bye week too, which typically doesn't happen during the regular season. So I don't think there's really anything to talk about when it comes to that. Yeah, Andy Reid is going to prepare his team very well. We know that. But look, Bruce Arians has been doing this a long time. They got a great coaching staff. You got the GOAT, you got Tom Brady. This might be his last opportunity at a Super Bowl. And if Tom Brady loses in the Super Bowl, it's a failure of a season. No matter what you say, what you think, they had a great year. I mean, there was some ups and downs, you know. Remember this? You remember this? You know, like that happened this year. And like at that point we thought, okay, this team's done for. And they ended up making the Super Bowl. But if Tom Brady does not win this game, it's going to be a failure of a season. It's going to be, you know, Joe Montana with the Chiefs. You know, I know he didn't make I know that they made it to the AFC Championship and lost, I believe that. But my point is, like, it's not memorable. We don't remember. So Tom Brady has to win this game for this season to be a success and for his career to go out on top. If they do win this game, maybe he's under contract for 2 years, right? Or another year. So I'm sure he sticks around. Is there any narratives to talk about here with Brady? This could potentially be his last game if he loses and maybe if he wins.
I kind of would like to see it. I'd like to see him walk away from the game because, you know, I've never been a Patriots fan by any means, but
yeah,
it's hard not to kind of root for a guy making history in front of you, right? He's going to be something that we have witnessed, you know, the greatest quarterback of all time playing. So
yeah.
I kind of don't like rooting against him. So I'm kind of conflicted in this game.
I know.
And look, before anybody starts sending us hate mail about Deflategate and all that other shit, go look up at the score before they found out that the Patriots were cheating. The Colts were up 14-7. Yeah. At halftime, when they replaced the footballs, the Patriots ended up dominating the second half, and I believe they won like 44-14. And Tom Brady threw for 225 yards. The rushing attack for the Patriots rushed for like 280 and 4 touchdowns.
Yeah.
So I don't want to hear anything about that shit. Like, you can say you want cheating, paying off the refs, whatever it is, right? Then fuck everybody else for not being smart enough to stop him from cheating his way to 9 Super Bowls.
Yeah,
that's kind of on you at some point.
Come on.
Like
10 Super Bowls, yeah.
Fool me once, shame on you, right? Fool me twice.
Fool me, you can't get fooled again.
Fool me 9 times, go fucking play a different game. Like, you suck at it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
End of rant.
End of rant. Look, I really want to, like, I'm conflicted too. I want to see Tom Brady win this game because, look, Mahomes is going to be back again. I know we probably said that about, you know, Aaron Rodgers 10 years ago, and it hasn't happened. So you have to take advantage of these games. But we all can agree that the Chiefs are going to be one of the best teams over the next 5 years, every single year, unless something crazy happens.
I think there's a potential that you're going to get some unprecedented moves from guys like Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill, right? You're going to have to pay out all these guys.
Yeah.
I definitely think that there's a world in which they don't necessarily they don't take all the money that they have to, and they just start signing team-friendly deals just because they know they can dominate. For
Scottie Pippen. You got to pull a Scottie Pippen, man.
Yep.
All right.
I mean, you want to win, you do it. Fucking do it.
So it's too early for us to have a pick. I think at this point, if I had to put money on any team on the money line, I'm probably going to put it on the Bucks, to be honest. What are your thoughts on that?
I got the Chiefs.
Safer pick. Yeah. I obviously the chances of them winning are higher. You just can't rule out Tom Brady. You just never can, you know?
I agree.
All right, so let's get into a breakdown of each position here. Let me share my fantasy scruncher. Yeah, exactly. Fantasy cruncher screen. So Patrick Mahomes. Oh, you can't see the salary, can you? Hang on. Let me see if I can fix this. He's at 12,000. Can you see that? There it is. So he's at 12,000. Tom Brady's at 10K. Now, Patty Mahomes at 12K is kind of a lot. Well deserved. But this is going to be tough because how the hell... we're going to have to put somebody really cheap or middle of the road at captain in order to fit Mahomes, Tyreek, and Kelce, and Brady. So Brady's at 10K. What are your thoughts on the prices here? $2,000 difference between the two. That's a little bit extreme, don't you think?
Yeah. I think it's right though. I think there's probably a 10-point fantasy difference between Mahomes and Brady, so I think he should be priced up a little bit more there. But I don't. The only thing it does for me is it limits how much Patrick Mahomes I'm going to have at the captain spot.
Oh yeah, big time.
But other than that, like I didn't really have any anticipation of getting Tom Brady at captain. So it really doesn't do much for me. These guys could have both been priced at like 17,000, and they'd still be locks for me every lineup.
Well, this brings up an interesting point. So one thing, typical showdowns, you got your 150,000 entries in the big contest. The Millie Maker is maybe max 200,000 entries. We're looking at every fan that's ever heard of football that's in a legal state is probably going to play a little DFS on Sunday. You're looking at 600,000 entries for the Millie Maker. I think 630,000, and then you have some of these smaller contests that have over 300,000 entries. If you think that you can put Tom Brady or Patrick Mahomes in the captain and not dupe with fucking 5,000 people and lose money, you're probably going down the wrong track, because there's how is Patrick Mahomes not like 25% owned in the captain with a lot of casuals just jumping in and playing showdown? You know what I mean? Like how can we be different with 600,000 people? First of all, don't even play that. Maybe put one entry in and just treat that as a Powerball ticket. But still, even the smaller contest, you're going up against 100,000 people. How can we be different and avoid putting the quarterbacks at captain?
I think your best bet is going to be to go to smaller contest size so that you don't have to worry about stuff like that. Otherwise, man, I mean, just the sheer size of the contest, it's going to be highly unlikely that you're not duplicating with at least 5 to 10 lineups.
Yeah.
My best advice here is to be a little bit crazy. This is the Super Bowl. You don't know what's going to happen. It could be a kick returner who just changes the game, opens the game up with a touchdown on kick return, right? What is it, Mecole Hardman that they have for punts and kicks? Yeah. If he scores 2 touchdowns that way, I mean, that's something that you can plan for as well. If you're going to be
Pringle too.
Pringle, yeah, exactly. If you're doing one of these massive contests, fucking get creative. I mean, play cash to hedge, but just be willing to lose some of those, those entries and get crazy. Find something that you think is possible to happen in an Andy Reid Super Bowl, right? This is Bruce Arians and Andy Reid. Yeah. We're not talking about safe offenses by any means.
Exactly.
Dude fucking went for it on 4th and 1 with Chad Henne at quarterback in the AFC Championship.
That was amazing.
Right?
That was so awesome.
These guys, and fucking golf hat guy, his saying is no risk it, no biscuit.
Yeah.
So you can fully anticipate something fucked up's going to happen here. So just pick a guy.
You think Bruce Arians?
Go for it.
You think Bruce Arians has that tattooed across his chest?
I think he will after this game. If he wins this game, he should get it tattooed across
his chest. He should retire. He should retire after this game. Like, no joke. He's already done it once.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so let's get back to this. I just figured it was important to point out with the contest sizes, we can't just put Mahomes at captain. Yeah, you can, but you got to punt at 2 or 3 positions. You got to get really weird with it, or you're probably not going to take home any profit. So Tom Brady at 10K is interesting because we're used to seeing, Andy Dalton at 10K. And I know it all depends on the slate. It all depends on the players on that particular slate. But seeing Tom Brady at 10K is a little interesting to me. That just guarantees that I'm going to play him in most of my lineups. And if he comes in, the 4th highest owned player behind, Patty, Tyreek, and Kelsey, when it comes to captain, that's who I'm going to jam into the captain. So we'll have to wait and see what the ownership projections are throughout the week. But Tom Brady, to me, if he comes in at 3 or 4, I think he's a good option. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, if he's coming in low owned, I think he's definitely an option for the captain spot. I just, rule of thumb, like I just assume the quarterbacks are going to be the chalkiest fucking captains.
Yeah.
So until we start getting closer to getting some of those projections, I really want to see what my builds are going to be like without him. Although, I mean, at 10K, it's a little bit interesting. He's cheaper than Tyreek Hill, so you might have a little bit more flexibility building him with the captain. He might be the cash captain to play.
That's a good point. Good point.
Yeah, I think when just gonna have to keep an eye on it, and as we get closer to the Super Bowl, and we have an idea of who's active, we'll really understand what we can do there. I think if we get some of these injuries, like Sammy Watkins and like Le'Veon Bell, if they play, I think they're gonna pull some ownership. They're gonna force some ownership for Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes to go up a little bit because that value is going to allow you to jam them in a little bit more. Yeah. So I don't know, man. It's going to be interesting. We really need some projections.
Yeah, exactly. But it's fun to actually just think about, like, it's fun to like actually figure this shit out on our own and then kind of test it against what the professional, like, people who are doing projections and ownership projections are putting out there. It's nice to see if you're kind of on the same page. Am I over exaggerating thinking that Tom Brady won't be the top 2 owned? Is there a chance that Tyreek or Kelsey is higher owned than Brady?
I don't think so. If anybody, maybe Kelsey. I think it's going to be Pat, maybe Kelsey, Brady, and then Hill.
Yeah.
But Tom Brady is the most popular fucking athlete on the planet. So if anybody's just arbitrarily playing, let's fucking play Tom Brady.
And just think about this. Take this into account when you're building. There's going to be a ton of casuals playing. Tons. So whatever that means, whether that's a bunch of dumbass dead lineups, maybe chalkier lineups, like, we just got to kind of keep that in mind when we're building. So let's move over to running backs for the Chiefs. You get CEH at 7,000 for some fucking reason. Darrell Williams at 5.2K. I didn't know that. That's interesting. I like Darrell Williams. I think he's proven that he should be the number 1 guy. I think that CEH has a bright future. People are calling him a bust. It's his rookie year. He's on a really good team. He's dealt with some injuries on and off. Give him a chance. I think he's got an opportunity to have a good career. Let's not write him off yet. You know what I mean? He's at 7K. In this particular game, though, I like Darrell Williams more. I honestly think Darrell Williams' ownership will be higher, don't you?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, he's had a pretty serious playoff run here. So, I don't know, man. Again, I'm not going to rule out CEH because I definitely think Andy Reid could get weird with it. To your point, I don't know why people would call him a bust. You play with fucking Patrick Mahomes. Like, the running, this is almost a useless position. This was Tyronn Lue with the Cavaliers, right? Like, yeah. I mean, what are you supposed to do? You have fucking Pat Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, and Travis Kelce.
Yeah,
that's not. And I don't mean to be a dick to Tyronn Lue. Great job winning, but it's the only analogy I could come up with, other than like Aaron Rodgers having a quarterback coach. Oh, offensive coordinator for Peyton Manning's Colts. Like, what do you do?
Yeah,
like, call it play, Peyton.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah. All right, have fun. So, yes, I guess the reason why I just saw a lot of people talking about CEH on Twitter, DFS Twitter. Mm-hmm. I thought it was a little harsh. Yeah, I get it. This year he hasn't lived up to the hype. It's probably a lot of bitterness because a lot of people took him in best ball, like, right off the bat. A lot of people took him in season long right off the bat in the first or second round. Probably just a lot of bitterness. So Lev Bell at 800, yeah, if he plays, is an option. I'm just worried that he might not see the field. And look, if Lev Bell doesn't play, I think Darwin Thompson is a good option. He saw some snaps last week. He actually got some opportunities, not a lot, but look, you're looking. These are the kind of guys. A $200 Darwin Thompson scores you a 4-yard touchdown and catches 3 or 4 balls throughout the game. He's probably in the optimal because that allows you to get all the other best players involved. So, typically speaking, I'm not going this low on a Thursday night football showdown matchup, but for the Super Bowl with this many entries, I think you have to consider everybody. So thoughts on Bell and Thompson?
Yeah, I like Le'Veon Bell. $800. I think there's a good chance he sees the field and he's put in a scoring opportunity. I think Andy Reid wants to give him that opportunity. So I definitely think we'll see it. Darwin Thompson, he's not even in my player pool. Yeah, sure. Look, again, I think any one of these guys can get a long touchdown. I don't plan on being overexposed to any of them, though. I may have one lineup maximum with Darwin Thompson, maybe 3 to 4 with Le'Veon Bell. A majority of my stuff is probably going to have a little bit of. I think Ronald Jones is probably going to be one of my higher owned running backs, just because he's $2,200, but. And again, like I said earlier, I really think that Bruce Arians has to run the football well for this team to have a chance to win this game. So I definitely think there's a situation in which he can get there. But other than that, I think I don't know. I think Leonard Fournette's just a little bit too high, and I'm kind of getting distracted from the question that you asked. But I got all this shit up here in front of me.
I forgot what I asked. I want to go off a little bit on a tangent here. One little thing I want to bring up is I didn't really think about this narrative. You got the Honey Badger going against his former, the guy who basically drafted him, right? You got the Honey Badger going against Bruce Arians and, Todd Bowles. It's kind of an interesting narrative here. Not to say that the Honey Badger can somehow take over the game and it even matters, like there's any extra motivation. I just wanted to point that out because we're Cardinals fans. And I thought, wow, that's kind of an interesting intersection of paths here. What do you think? What are your thoughts on that? I mean, look, Tyrann Mathieu has had a good career since leaving the Cardinals. I want him to win another Super Bowl.
Yeah, dude, I'm excited for him. I think it's going to be interesting, and I don't think there's any bad blood there. Bruce Arians really kind of took Tyrann Mathieu under his wing, kind of helped him go through some growth stuff in his personal life that he was struggling with. So I think they kind of want the best for each other, but it is going to be interesting. Todd Bowles developed Tyrann Mathieu.
Yeah.
He grew up in that system, and that's where he excelled as a slot corner, slot safety, whatever the fuck you want to call it. So it's going to be fun. I definitely think it's going to be an interesting matchup between him and Tom Brady. And they have a lot of size on the offensive side of the ball for the Buccaneers. So, Honey Badger's short. It's his big plays that make impacts, but you have some big possession receivers on the other side. So I'm interested how this is all going to play out, man. It's going to be fun.
I just bring that up because Matthews had a great playoffs. He when we get to the defense, we can talk about maybe getting a little different by having some random, Chiefs defense mixed in with potentially an interception for a touchdown because they're pretty dynamic. So let's move over to running backs for Tampa Bay. You got Leonard Fournette at 7,800 and Ronald Jones at 2,200. Am I just going to lose all my money playing Ronald Jones at fucking captain and shit?
Yeah. Fuck it, man. You don't even have to do a bunch of lineups like that. There's no way that people are going to have a shitload. He's going to be more than 3% on a captain, right? So get a couple guys in there and then, don't necessarily punt another position, but grab another low-owned guy so you're not duplicating with all the other people. And I think it's fine. But 2,200 is just kind of silly, right?
Yeah.
I think that they should have at least left him at 3,400, 4,000 range so that he wasn't. Yeah, there's a good chance he couldn't see the field.
Yeah.
But it's the Super Bowl. I think Bruce Arians is going to put him on the field, give an opportunity.
I mean, look, Ronald Jones was the number one back for most of the season. Leonard Fournette got released. Dude got signed off the street. Now, look, he had a great NFC championship game. No doubt about it. He's had a great playoff run. But it doesn't necessarily mean we know how Bruce Arians is, man. If Leonard Fournette, does anything wrong, if he eats his meal wrong before the game, you might see Ronald Jones get a start. I'm not saying it's going to happen. All I'm saying is, if you've watched this show before, we love doing the double running backs for each team on Showdown. And this is a good opportunity to continue that trend. You got both of these guys together for 10K total. And if your game script comes to fruition like we think it can, where they prioritize running the ball against the Chiefs, you could have all of that running game in your lineup if you put both of these guys together. Any interest in doing that? Like a Ronald Jones at captain with a Fournette in the flex?
Bro, I think you can go Ronald Jones at captain, Fournette flex, Tom Brady, and you might even be able to get Kelsey, Watkins, Mahomes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm all for it. I think that's how they're going to stay in the game. You get the passing with Tom Brady. But this is a great opportunity to do that. This is where you're going to have an opportunity to dominate time of possession. And if they're succeeding at that, you're going to have both of these guys.
These are good ways to differentiate yourself and not have stupid, like, yes, they're negatively correlated. But we're talking showdown here. We're talking one game. We're talking Super Bowl. If we're playing, if it's a 4-game weekend playoff slate, you're not putting both of them in your same lineup. But this is showdown. I think that's a good way to differentiate yourself, because probably a large percentage of these lineups, people aren't going to do that. So you can automatically be different. Even if they're both relatively highly owned, you're probably not going to have a ton of dupes. You know what I mean?
Yeah, dude. It's going to be the easiest way to get different. It's going to be stacking the running game. I mean, shit, you throw in Le'Veon Bell too from the other side.
Exactly.
You're getting real crazy.
Yeah, because everyone loves these wide receivers, and they should. They absolutely should. But sometimes you have to do some dumbass lineups to win money. And look, for the Super Bowl, I would rather, instead of paying, doing like 4 or 5 lineups into the Millie Maker, I would rather do a bunch of single entries. I'd rather do as many 20 maxes as they'll let me do, and get a couple hundred lineups mixed in there, as opposed to just relying on a few, because you just don't know what's going to happen in this game. Anything can happen with these coaches. So let's get over to Tampa Bay's wide receivers. So Chris Godwin's at 8,800, not bad price for him. Mike Evans, 8,400. You got Antonio Brown at 6,200, which actually, wow, if he plays, that's a really nice price for him. Good old Scotty Miller at 3,400. Tyler Johnson, Justin Watson, all around 1,000. Where are you drawing the line here? Are you going down to Tyler Johnson, or is Scotty Miller kind of the lowest you're willing to go here?
No, I like Tyler Johnson. I like Scotty Miller. I think both are going to be in play for me. I'll have more Scotty Miller. But Tyler Johnson isn't terrible. I definitely think that he's going to get an opportunity here and there, just because he's been kind of a safety valve for Tom Brady as of late. So I think he's definitely in play for me, and I like him a lot.
So with Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, let's just talk. If Antonio Brown is out, you have to prioritize one, if not both, of these guys, don't you? And if Antonio Brown's in, I think you just have to spread it out a lot more, because we just don't know who's going to get those targets. It's kind of a crapshoot. Chris Godwin, in theory, should get those targets. He should get a majority. Mike Evans is the kind of guy who gets you, 4 receptions for 2 touchdowns and 50 yards. That kind of shit. Chris Godwin will get you 9 to 10 receptions. I think there's more volume coming Godwin's way, but there's a higher upside for Evans when it comes to scoring. How do you figure out this situation between these two guys? Can you put them in lineups together? Can we afford that? That means we have to not have Kelsey or Tyreek on the other side. It's going to be difficult. And me personally, I think that these guys are going to be they're going to be forgotten about, because you're going to have, everyone's going to want to put Kelsey and Tyreek and Mahomes together. So you could be different by putting Godwins and Evans and Brady in the same lineup. So how do you handle that?
I think you can run both of them in the same lineup. I think it is a good way to get different, because I don't think many people are going to be stacking the Mike Evans, Chris Godwin side of it. But that's a lot of that's really dependent upon Antonio Brown's status. Yeah. If he's in, then I think I prioritize Chris Godwin and Antonio Brown, and I'm not looking as much at Mike Evans. And look, Chris Godwin, he doesn't have the same fantasy output. He's scored 1 less point or some shit like that than Mike Evans, but he's got 28 targets, 14 receptions. That's the big difference here.
Yeah.
Mike Evans has 21 targets and 10 receptions.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
if that margin closes a little bit for Chris Godwin and he snags a couple of these, you're looking at some pretty significant points. So I'm going to kind of stick with what I've been doing this season. I think I'm going to prioritize Chris Godwin, and I'll have a couple lineups where I have him, Evans, and Tom Brady, and then kind of just have a Tampa onslaught. That's probably how I'm going to be building most of this game. It's going to be 4 twos each direction. I don't think I'm going to be balanced.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
I think that's the way to go. So, but Chris Godwin's my favorite.
I think Chris Godwin does not necessarily need to score a touchdown for you for him to end up in the optimal. He should. Mm-hmm. It'd be nice. But Mike Evans needs to score 2 touchdowns most of the time for him to have that crush ceiling game. Just simply because of the volume. He's boom or bust with Mike Evans, and most of the time he's getting those fades, he's getting those slants in the red zone from the 5-yard line. So just think about that. Can Mike Evans score you 2 touchdowns? If you don't think it's going to happen, you probably should prioritize Chris Godwin and another one of these wide receivers. It's going to be tough. It's going to be tough to figure this out. So let's move over to Kansas City. This is going to be, look, Tyreek Hill and 10.4K. So Tyreek Hill is more expensive than Tom Brady. What are your thoughts on that? Like, I mean, is that fair?
Yeah, 100%. Dude could have 10 targets. Do you remember what happened last time they played, right?
No, remind me.
It was the game where he had like 75 fantasy points.
Oh shit! Quarter. That's right.
Yeah, he had like 10 receptions, 273 yards, and like 4 touchdowns or some shit.
Wow.
Let me see if I can actually pull it up.
10.4K. It's gonna be hard to fit all these guys in the lineup together, man. We're gonna have to make some bold choices.
57.9 fantasy points. He had 13 receptions, 269 yards, and 3 touchdowns. So yeah, man, he's not coverable, especially when this team's firing on all cylinders. And that's why I think the 2200 Rojo captain is so interesting.
Yeah.
Then you can grab Tyreek Hill, you can grab Travis Kelce, Pat Mahomes, and fucking figure it out from there.
It might be the way to go is going with middle-ranged captains that you think can have a ceiling output. You don't need them to be the highest scoring player necessarily, because you're going to fit in Tyreek Hill, you're going to fit in both quarterbacks, you're going to fit in Mike Evans, Kelce in the flex. So you don't need, it's more of a look, if you put in Sammy Watkins and he has like a touchdown and 150 yards receiving, and the rest of the guys score those points. It might be interesting. I want to do a captain crunch later on this week and crunch out a ton of lineups with ceilings, with projections, and figure out who kind of gives us the best option. I'm anticipating seeing some of these $5,000 guys end up as good captain options for tournaments. So Mecole Hardman at 5,600, I think he's way overpriced. Mecole Hardman's a perfect $2,800 guy. At 5,600, I'd rather go with Sammy Watkins every day of the week. I know that Mecole Hardman is very dynamic and he can absolutely have a big game, but it's one of those things, to me, I'd be more willing to be under the field on Hardman, and maybe the field will agree with me. So how do you handle the Hardman and Watkins, considering they're kind of in that middle range? If Watkins plays, do you prefer Sammy?
Yeah, 100%. I'm not a huge fan of Mecole Hardman when Sammy Watkins is in. It directly impacts his usage. But again, be mindful of that. I don't think we necessarily want to run Mecole Hardman and Sammy Watkins in the same lineup, but I do think you can kind of play both. I'm going to have a little bit more exposure to Sammy Watkins if he's healthy, but given Mecole Hardman's just explosive nature, he doesn't really need too many opportunities to pay off that price tag. So I do think it is wise to have a little bit of exposure to him.
So Byron Pringle at 1,800, Demarcus Robinson. I personally would rather go with Robinson at 1,400. We've seen him have some decent games this year. Let's pull up. And, I think he's number 4, and Byron Pringle is priced above him for whatever reason. So I think there's a good way to find some value there. So, he's got 3 touchdowns this year, a handful of games with 8 targets, 6 targets. Look, if he scores you 16 fantasy points at that price tag, you're going to be feeling pretty good about things. When it comes to Byron Pringle, I swear I can speak English. He's got one nice game in him here, week 17. He's more utilized in punt return. So if you think he can have a pretty good game on special teams, he's a good option. If you had to choose between one of these guys, who are you going with?
Was Sammy Watkins in that list? Sorry.
No, it's Pringle and Robinson. The value from these teams or this team.
Oh yeah, no, I don't think I want either of them. I think Pringle has a little bit more upside. But if Sammy Watkins plays, I don't have interest in either one of those guys.
Got it. All right, so let's move over to tight ends for the Chiefs. Look, I think this game 11,000 for Kelce. I think this game is going to come down to I just don't know how you fit both of them, both Kelce and Tyreek in the lineup together. And that's what they did this on purpose to us. They did this on purpose to us. We're going to have to find a $200 guy. We're going to have to find a $1,400 guy. We're going to have to find a $5,000 guy captain to fit all of them together. If you had to choose between Kelce at 11K or Tyreek Hill, if you only could choose one, which one are you choosing?
Probably Travis Kelce.
It's boom or bust. Kelce and cash. If you're thinking of it this way, Kelce and cash, Hill and tournaments. But both of them should be considered for both. But if I had to choose one, I'd probably go Kelce for smaller field tournaments. It's just it's just tough. I don't know what to do. I'm gonna have to really meditate on this throughout the week because I don't know where to go with this. Do you have a better, more clear vision?
No, I mean I'll probably have the same lineups just with each guy kind of rotated out.
Yeah.
And then I'll have some builds where I'm doing everything I can to get both of them in the same lineup. So I think that's the only way you can do it. This might be just a time to enter more contests and try and get some variation.
Any chance Ricky Seals-Jones scores a touchdown against his old coaching staff in Tampa Bay?
Yeah, there's a chance. I don't think it's going to happen. But,
Yelder's actually out, so I'll remove him. Sorry, go ahead.
No, dude, I mean, Todd Bowles, tight end, is the bane of his existence.
Exactly.
So who knows? One of these guys could catch something.
Here,
but I expect it to be Kelce.
Hang on 1 second. I need to reset my system here. Give me 1 second, guys. You're getting some static on your end. Yeah. All right, check. You hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, cool. All right. So, anything else to talk about here? Any interest in any of these fucking backup dudes? I don't have any interest in them.
Mm-mm.
Let's go to Tampa Bay. We got Mr. Tide Pod himself, Rob Gronkowski at 3,000, Cameron Brate at 4,800. I think it's obvious that Brate is trending up, Gronk is trending down. They're using Gronk for his possibly leadership and blocking ability, and Cameron Brate is getting those targets. But any chance that Gronk can have a great, possibly last game of his career and score a touchdown or two here?
Yeah, absolutely. This probably will be his last game, especially if they win. So I definitely think that he goes all out. And a nothing to lose Gronk is definitely very dangerous for DFS. So I think I'm going to have a little bit of exposure to him at 3K. I'd rather have him than a fucking kicker. So I definitely think he's a solid play.
It's recency bias. It's recency bias. Let's just let's talk about Gronkowski here. Look, this dude has, how many touchdowns does he have? He's at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. He's got 7 touchdowns this year. Nothing to scoff at. He's got a couple 17 plus point outputs. I know that Brate has been trending up, but there's no reason that Gronk can't get back to a Detroit game against Kansas City. He had 106 yards, 7 targets, 6 receptions. At 3,000, you're talking about a guy with a high ceiling, an opportunity to get 7 plus targets and 2 touchdowns. I know it hasn't happened lately, so I think that Gronk is going to be super low owned. I also, he could be high owned because everyone knows his name. I don't know how to handle this. Like, can Gronk do that? Like, is he too washed at this point?
No, man, I think they kind of been saving him for this. He's got 7 targets in 3 games in the playoffs versus Cameron Brate 16. So
yeah,
this could be the final game of his career. I don't think he's gonna not show up. Right? This is the kind of guy that'll play a game with a fucking torn labrum, or I don't know, just make up an injury, and he probably has it.
RoboCop. That's what he looks like out there.
Yeah, dude, we're hearing shit like about players who played the whole season. Like AJ Brown had to get multiple knee surgeries.
Yeah,
like I'm pretty sure Gronk has had parts of his back replaced this year. Like we don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
So I think I definitely think he's got some opportunity to get involved in this game. But just I think Braid is interesting just because the amount of targets that he's getting. He's got twice as many targets in the postseason, but. This is Tom Brady's fucking lover boy, bro. They're going to try and get a little touchdown. Maybe he's a Super Bowl MVP as his going away gift.
I want to see odds on that, actually. I want to see odds on that.
Plus 2,500. Let's see.
You pull that up. So, look, one thing to talk about here with Gronk and Brady, the dynamic there. Gronk came out of retirement. He could have been sitting in a studio in L.A. at Fox talking about football games. Instead, he came out of retirement to play with Tom Brady in his last hurrah. Look, Tom Brady's the kind of guy who will pass a ball to Antonio Brown in garbage time to get him some money, a bonus. You don't think that Tom Brady's not going to be looking out for his buddy, the guy who he's won multiple Super Bowls with, when the shit gets rough? If this team's down, you don't think he's going to start throwing the ball to Gronkowski in the red zone? I just think they have so much chemistry. They've been playing together for so many years. You have to consider Gronkowski in this particular game. I know that, it's one game and anything can happen. And Brady is going to be more popular, but at $3,000, he's $1,800 cheaper. I think you got to consider Gronkowski. And maybe I'm just a fanboy. Maybe I'm looking way too into the narrative here, but I'm personally going to go heavy on him.
Bro, he's plus 7,000 MVP odds.
Oh, I mean, it's not a high probability that he gets that unless he gets 3 touchdowns. Plus 7,000? Jeez, that's worth throwing a couple bucks on. If you had to choose between Brate and Gronkowski in one single lineup, who are you going with?
If it's a 1-for-1 and salary doesn't matter, I'm probably taking Brate. But I don't hate Gronk. I think you can get him in a couple lineups.
If Gronk is significantly lower owned, I'm going with Gronk.
Yeah, I agree.
So, we already did these guys. All right, so we're going kickers and defense. Let's just briefly talk about this. Harrison Butker is 4,000. Ryan Suckoff is 3,800. I'm more likely to stay away from kickers, especially in the biggest game of these guys' lives potentially. I just don't like kickers in on Sunday morning, week 5, let alone in the Super Bowl with the world watching. How do you handle kickers here? Do you just kind of limit them to 10% or 15% at most?
Yeah, I'll probably have to cap them. I'll have a little bit of exposure just because, there's a world in which Harrison Butker gets more points than, who do we have? Cameron Brate, pretty much at the same price. So, I think having a little bit of exposure is healthy, but I'm not going to get too crazy with it. I just, I don't know. I expect the total to be too high unless we really think that Tampa Bay's run game is able to slow this down and make it more of a kicking game. Then I think you might be able to stack Ryan Suckup with both running backs from Tampa. But that's really kind of where I'm at with this. I just don't want too much exposure. When you have a point total where it's at, it's probably going to move higher. They're just not going to be getting the kind of opportunities that you need. And this is the Super Bowl. So again, if this is a 10-point or an 11-point game or more going into the third quarter, right, you may not seek field goals anymore.
Exactly. Unless you're Ryan LaFleur. So, right. And that's something I bring up. Look, I apologize if you guys are watching the show. I am obsessed with talking about how I hate kickers in DFS. And I'm not going to stop now. Look, this is 2020, 2021. These coaches are not going for it, or they're not kicking field goals on 4th and 1 or 4th and 2, past the 50 or near the 50. They're just going for it. There's a nerd upstairs that crunches an Excel sheet and says, these are the probabilities. Just fucking go for it. Typically speaking, you're going to probably see a little bit less opportunity for these kickers to actually, meet their price tags at 4,000. Typically, we're seeing kickers around 36 to 34 to 32. if that's the case, you can get when we're struggling with finding value and finding, being able to fit all these expensive dudes. The kickers are going to be over-owned, in my opinion, because they're just going to be jammed into the optimal more often than not because their median projection is higher than some of these receivers who just don't get opportunities. So for me, I'm going to try to get leverage on the 30% of the field that has at least one kicker in their lineup. I'm going to say, fuck that. If Suckoff beats me and he has fucking 15 fantasy points, so be it.
Bro, someone goes, Jared Goff was sent to the Night's Watch.
Oh my God. Oh my God. All right. Defenses. 2,800 for Bucks, 2,600 for Chiefs. I like the Chiefs a lot more defense-wise. If you're playing a defense on Showdown, you can't rely on the low-scoring game. You've got to get sacks. You got to get points from your defense on the scoreboard. So, any interest in $2,600 Chiefs?
Yeah, I'll have a lineup or two with them in there. I'm going to probably be entering more lineups than I'm comfortable with, which means I'm going to be submitting some crazy shit that I'm not usually comfortable with. So I'll have a little bit more exposure to the defenses here than I normally would. I think both teams take one back. I definitely think there's a road in which one of them is in the optimal lineup. And it might be a unique way to get different. I mean, I think we saw a takedown in one of the playoff games where you had you had the fucking defense, the opposing defense for the quarterback at captain. Shit gets crazy like that.
Yeah.
And then one of the playoff main slates, you had to stack the Steelers against what is it, the Bills defense? Like you had to do Browns. That to win. Or the Browns defense, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, there's routes that shit can happen. So I definitely. It's something to pay attention to. Get some exposure to them. Get weird with the lineups on Super Bowl.
Obviously, they're negative. They're negatively correlated, but an interception is minus 1 point, and and a touchdown for the defense is 6 points, right? 6.
Yeah,
7?
exactly. It's 6 points. So you lose 1 point. It's essentially a +5 play for you, and your quarterback gets the fucking ball back right away.
I had too many Trulies there. Sorry, my math was fucked up. All right, so let's build one or two lineups together. Remember, the whole thing about the show is going to be a lot shorter than usual. Yeah, that ain't happening. Sorry about that, guys.
That was a fucking lie.
All right, let's move over to a lineup build. We do have some projections. Let's hope that this shit doesn't crash as I switch over. We do have some projections on RotoGrinders, so we can at least kind of see where things are going to end up. But it's too early to really care about that. Is my computer gonna crash? Nope. Sorry guys, give me 1 second. So who do we want to just see the optimal at this point, a week away from the game? Do we want to see where the projections are leaning towards?
Yeah, let's throw in the optimal. We'll go from there.
All right. See what happens here. So this is literally the optimal. Rojo, captain, Chiefs defense. That's a 5-1. So that just shows me the Chiefs are going to be way overowned. And if you're doing a 4-2 Buccaneer stack or a 2-4 with Chiefs and the captain, 2 Chiefs and run it back with 4 Buccaneers, you could be pretty different and still have high upside.
Swap off Chiefs, and I think you should be able to get to Cameron Brate.
Oh yeah, you're right. Nope. Is the pricing wrong? No, the pricing's right. Wait, is Cameron Brate 4.8K?
Yeah, no, you're right. And then for
hang on. Yeah, he is. Okay. All right. So you can go Gronk there? Yeah, you can go Gronk.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, this is an option. Actually, this isn't bad. This isn't that bad. But we know where the projections at this point in the week are going to land us. So let's hand build. Let's hand build with, Kelce or Hill at captain. That's going to be sort of our best way of starting this off. Who do you want to start with?
Let's do Kelce, since he was the Opto captain last time.
All right. See if my computer won't explode. Kelce at captain. Let's just see if we can put both quarterbacks in. How impossible this is with a dude that's 16.5K in the captain spot. Yeah, this is going to be nearly impossible. So we got to go super low. We got to go Gronk. We got to go Lev Bell. We got to go Darwin Thompson. Who do you want to throw in first? We should go. Who's your favorite value play so we can kind of figure things out from there? Lev Bell?
Yeah, I think Lev Bell's fine here.
So that leaves us with 53.50 per. So I think that allows us to go with Rojo. It's not bad.
And what do we have left?
8,500. So you could actually, not that I would love to do this because I want to get a receiver from the Tampa Bay side, but you could absolutely do this. Fournette, Jones, Brady with Mahomes, Kelce, and Bell. It's a game script. I don't know that it's an optimal one, but it is an option. Instead of that, let's look at some. Do you want to go another Tampa? Do you want to go? Can we fit? Oh yeah, we could fit either one of these wide receivers, right? Oh no, Mike Evans. You can get Mike Evans. Mm-hmm. So there you go. That's not bad at all.
Yeah, I don't hate that build.
That's not bad at all. And if you wanted to, if you wanted to get crazy, you could switch out Lev Bell. If Lev Bell is out, you could go down to. Why is Darwin Thompson not even in the player pool? How do I get Darwin Thompson on fucking Roto Grinders? Can you add him?
Go to hide unprojected. And then.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Change his projection.
It's fine. I'll just do that.
Oh, yeah. You can click on
So if Lev Bell's out, Darwin Thompson, and then you could go with either Evans or you could go up to Godwin. Let's see if it'll move. I don't hate that. I know you don't like Thompson, but if Lev Bell's out, Thompson's an option now. Thompson's a better version of Lev Bell, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think he's a great opportunity, man. At $200, he's gonna get a couple opportunities if Bell's out.
All right, so let's do a Kelce without Mahomes or a Kelce without Brady. What do you want to do? No Brady?
Yeah, let's do no Brady.
It leaves us with 10.3K. Now we've got to probably get a Godwin. I mean, leaving Brady out and putting two of his receivers in is a little scary. But can we throw in? Well, we can. Oh, we almost had Tyreek Hill. Damn. That was close. We almost had Tyreek Hill by $100. Well, let's go down from Godwin.
Yeah, go to Mike
Evans.
Throw in Tyreek Hill.
And then let's throw in Tyreek Hill. See, that's not bad at all. You got Evans and Jones. It's a 4-2. Kelce at captain. These are good options. I'm actually liking the way these builds are going now. Now that we're seeing them, now that we're really seeing them. So let's actually do a. Do you want to do like a middle of the road build, like like a Mike Evans?
Let's do a Chris Godwin captain.
Chris Godwin, okay. So thanks for joining us, guys. Throw us a like here. We appreciate it. It helps us out a lot. Subscribe. Using this software is so much slower. Sorry, guys. Godwin at captain. Both quarterbacks first, and then we'll pivot.
Yeah, both quarterbacks, and then throw in Tyreek Hill and go without Kelce on this.
Okay. Tyreek. So 2,200 a pop. So Rojo.
Yeah, throw in Rojo.
And then maybe
Tyler Johnson.
Yeah. I just don't know how you don't bet everything on Rojo. It's just, it makes things so much easier. And what'd you say, Tyler Johnson?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you have tons of options here. You could do Pringle, Demarcus Robinson, or Tyler Johnson. Whatever floats your boat. I don't hate it. You're leaving a little bit on the table. Godwin might be forgotten about at captain because there's other so many better options. Now let's do one without. Do you want to do a Tampa Bay onslaught without Mahomes? I know it's fucking stupid. I wouldn't do a lot of lineups without Mahomes, but let's just see how it works.
That's fine. Throw in Kelce, throw in Tyreek Hill, and then we can do the onslaught.
All right, I want to get Gronk in this lineup. Is that okay?
Yeah, do it.
Let's do one, and let's do one more Buccaneer. Oh, let's do fucking Rojo. We got 2,400 left. Let's throw Rojo in. Get some of those fourth quarter rushing opportunities. Yeah, Godwin a captain. Brady, Gronk, Rojo, well-rounded. Run back with Kelce and Hill. That's a Millie Maker type, roster construction. You're probably still going to be duped, but this is a pretty safe contrarian play because you're fading Mahomes. Now I wouldn't recommend doing that in a lot of lineups, but hey, we're just seeing how it goes without him. Let's switch it around. Let's pull out Brady and put Mahomes in. See what that does for us. 9,200 left. We could actually, let's reset this and see how things go. So what's our game script here? You want to do I don't think we can do a Kelce Mahomes or a Kelce Mahomes Hill. Can we? That's 1,700. Well, we can do a Lev Bell and we can do Lev Bell and Rojo.
Yeah. How much does that leave? 400? Yeah.
Or you can go down to Darwin, depending on. You're just gonna have to punt, and you're gonna have to rely on Rojo a lot. I mean, if Ronald Jones comes out and he scores you and gets you 10 carries, I think you can. The roster construction that we're throwing out here can really work. Do you want to build one more lineup? Let's build a weird contrarian like double running back. Let's build a Darrell Williams captain, like some random one that we typically wouldn't think about that can win it. What do you think? Is there any thoughts on that? Like a this is a Nyheim Hines at captain going off situation.
I mean, did we get one with Rojo?
No, let's do one with Rojo. Okay. I mean we saw it in the opto. But we can switch up the way we build.
Let's just do this straight down. I want to see if we can do this. I want to do Rojo, Pat, Hill, Kelce, and then see where we go from there.
Okay. Stand by. This will work for me. Rojo. Pat and Brady.
Yeah.
Hill
and then
Kelce. Yeah, I like that. I think. What are your thoughts on Kelce and Hill together? Well, Kelce, Hill, and Mahomes together being contrarian because people just they don't feel comfortable spending down in the last two spots. Do you think that could be a little bit of a unique lineup?
I do. And honestly, I'm hoping other people just don't play them together.
Yeah.
I mean, look, who do you got? Gronk?
3,300. Let me scroll down if I can. One thing that worries me is we haven't put Darrell Williams in at all. So yeah, Gronk. Yes, this is a sick lineup, dude.
Yeah,
this is a sick fucking lineup. I want to see the ownership on Ronald Jones. I want to see what they're projecting. What if you had to guess right now? 4% in the captain, 1%,
probably 3, and maybe 25 overall at most.
So I love this lineup. Actually, let me. I do you remember what the optimal one was? I want to see what that one was again.
It was similar. I don't think it had Hill and it had Chiefs defense.
Oh no, it just had Chiefs defense instead of Gronk.
Oh, okay.
So this might actually be, this point of the week with these projections, the Gronk lineup actually might be kind of popular, more popular than it should be maybe. Do you want to do one more build, or how are you feeling about this?
I think we got a pretty solid grasp of it. I think we're gonna need to probably have another show close to the thing and find out what we like a little bit more. You know what I mean?
So, what are some things to think about this week? What's some homework for us, for the audience to kind of think about as we have this sort of week ramping up into the Super Bowl?
Yeah, man, I go back and watch some game film. See some of the tricky shit that Andy Reid and Bruce Arians are running all season. Look specifically for weird stuff. I think that's going to give you an edge in this, and you're going to need an edge in this. These are two offensive masterminds going up against each other, so we're going to see some crazy shit, man. So I don't think you're getting too weird being weird.
We're forgetting one thing I really want to practice this week is making sure we get some of these middle of the road salary guys into our lineups. We completely forgot about them. We went boom or bust. We went, 2,800 or 10,000, 12,000. We didn't find any of these $5,600 guys, and I think that's going to hurt us if we don't embrace, the Darrell Williams. If we don't embrace the DeMarcus or the $5,600. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on his name. Hardman. If we don't embrace those guys, I think it's going to hurt us because those builds are not popular, and I think their ownership is going to be suppressed quite a bit. So, thanks for joining us, guys. We appreciate it. Ellie, let's do this again next week. Let's do another show throughout the week, and kind of as we get closer, figure out what the injury situation is, and then we're going to go live on the day of the Super Bowl. Sound good to you?
Let's do it.
Throw us a like, subscribe, join our Discord. It's free. Let's talk. Let's hang out. See you guys later.